Hello, everybody, and welcome to another BAM stream. We don't have an official name for these yet, but BAM
live
streams.
From HQ?
Live from HQ?
Yeah, live
from
from
HQ. I'm Will Hungerford. I am lead game designer here at Broken Anvil Minis, and I have with me Hannah, co-founder and head fabricatrix. How do I say it?
I never say it out loud, and so honestly, that's good enough. It's just that's what people know me as on the Discord. So
Hannah make thing real good.
I do.
We are also joined by Chris Trout, other co-founder and creative director. He's going to be on moderation, so if you hear a disembodied voice, that's who's going on. And big thanks to Josh, who set up the stream for us and has all of this technology working. Today's stream, we're going to be talking about a variety of topics. We're going to be giving you updates on Rivenstone, updates on Dungeon Delvers, the upcoming terrain pack contest slash
The design-a-thon.
The design-a-thon.
That's what I've been calling it.
Just like a lot of cool stuff to tell you about. So we're going to jump right into it and start off talking about late pledges for Rivenstone.
Yeah, so we are coming up. This is the final weekend for the late pledge period. So for anybody who is still sitting on the fence that might want to scoop up some of those Kickstarter exclusives, this is the last weekend to do so. So everything's going to close on Sunday, August 21st at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So basically midnight on Sunday this weekend for anybody who's on the left coast with us. Otherwise, we're going to shut down the store at that point. All of the late pledge extra mile stretch goals that we have, those will also close out. So anything that hasn't been funded, those will be gone forever. So if you want to help out to unlock any of those, so they're all really close at
There aren't
this point.
tokens within like 3
Yeah,
something
like
that?
it's very, very close. So I think we've already unlocked the sticks. We've unlocked the battle mats have been flying off the shelves. Thank you all for that. That's super awesome. I'm very excited to see those made. And then we've got like extra dice sets. Those unlocked.
The other alt heroes too, right?
Yeah, the other alt heroes unlocked. The wild terrain pack unlocked. So yeah, it's been great to see. So thank you all for your generous support on that. And yeah, hopefully maybe we'll unlock everything before the end of the weekend.
That would be nice.
Close enough. Yeah.
Speaking of one of the big things that unlocked, that was the wild terrain pack, which wasn't originally unlocked in the Kickstarter, but we're doing now, and we're going about this in kind of a special way.
Yeah.
You've hinted at it, but would you like to let everyone know what's going on?
Right. So the wild terrain pack is a community design event. So we figured it would be really fun to do something collaborative with everyone. So what we are getting set up is it's going to be like a multi-vote, like multi-stage vote type style. So we're going to be doing by poll. But the very first thing we're going to set out is we're going to have like 3 names that we're going to provide for the actual set of terrain. And then you guys can pick the name that sounds coolest. And then from there, we'll start to narrow down from thumbnail sketches. You guys will get to pick each of the individual 3 elements that go into that box. So it'll be a really fun, like back and forth kind of thing. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what we come up with. So.
I think we don't yet, but I'm gonna ask, do we have any of the names that they're gonna get
Not
initially?
yet. I'm not revealing those
Is
yet.
one of them bees and badgers?
No, but that would
Hedgehogs
be
and
great, though.
honeycombs?
Why didn't we get this idea sooner?
Hedgehogs and honeycombs.
That's adorable. It is wild. It does fit.
Yes, Chris.
What?
Thank you for the input. Yeah, like hedgehogs
what I
and
wanna
honeycombs.
name it.
We'll just call it what? So we'll have hedgehogs and honeycombs. What? And they're called murder birds. Is the third
It's
one.
called a murder bird.
So yeah, do we have again a rough ETA of when that might be starting?
So I'm shooting to have that up by the middle of September. So we'll start that off middle of September, yeah, it'll give us a little bit of time to get some art prepped and stuff to go ahead with that. So
Cool. Speaking of Rivenstone, just give everybody an update on where Rivenstone is right now. A lot of before it's in your hands and ships. Right now, it's sort of in the production stage. Some graphic design is being finished up. It's almost all completely done. This is mainly on the rulebook and getting all the diagrams sorted, getting all the art put in the rulebook, making it look as nice and sleek as we possibly can. And then a few minor adjustments to some final stat cards and coalition cards, not in terms of rules, just in terms of layout. The rules are done. In fact, rules-wise, we've kind of planned out like the next 18 months worth of content after it actually comes out. But we are trucking along internally in terms of production. And in fact, just to show everybody, we have been, these are final production models, just to show you where we're at with things.
They're so crispy.
They are very, very crispy. These are models that the exact same as what you would receive or will receive whenever you get your shipments in. So we've got Brutes, the full muster flingers as well. I am very excited to see our first final production tunnel fighter, first Iron Guard set up as well. As well as a Risen Foot Soldier. I think people have seen this making the rounds of the cons lately.
Yeah.
And of course a Shattered Empire. Let's figure out what we can, let's just shove
Squeeze
these
them
guys
in.
back. There we go, a little Shattered Empire line trooper there. So as you can see, things are trucking along. Obviously, there's a lot of models in the first launch wave. So every day, more progress is being made, more sculpts, more sculpts are being sort of finalized, more molds are being done.
Engineering, cutting, keying.
Turns out there's a lot of work involved in making a physical miniature, but progress is happening. All the print materials are being done, so just want to give everyone a heads up that that is all trucking along just well. Kind of talking beyond that, what comes next, and just give you a little heads up on where we are in terms of design and development. We are currently playtesting the final stage of playtesting, the second wave of models, which is going to introduce more heroes, more followers for all the factions, including Wild, including new coalitions, and we've already designed out and have started playtesting Wave 3, which has got 3 new coalitions on it, more models for all the factions, more heroes, and more followers. We've got a ton of content coming up for the game. And then most recently, the first organized play event has been worked on, and that is also currently in playtesting, and that should be coming out shortly after the launch of the game. So once everyone has their models and it's widely available to everyone, we're releasing the first organized play event. It's fully narrative. It's going to be telling a story of the various factions and one of the great battles they have shortly after they leave their little enclaves and start going out in the world and giving Rivenstone. It's going to feature a new event deck that you'll be able to get through this organized play kit, and also, like all our rules, will be available online for free. And it's going to have 3 new scenarios for people to play: standard 1v1, an asymmetrical, and what I think is probably going to be exciting to a lot of people is a fully co-op raid scenario, which is playable from 1 to 4 players. So you can actually solo play it with your Rivenstone models if you're trapped in your house and can't get out for any reason. But you could do 2, 3, 4 players, whatever you want to. It's a lot of fun, and I want to see some of the ridiculous raids people do, like when everyone is playing 2 terrestrial fiends each, and there's just elementals everywhere, and just the
chaos.
The raid boss is just like, nah, I didn't sign up for this. So in terms of seeing this stuff and rules coming out, where we're at is we want to get through this main production we've been talking about of the models and the rules, and then once we're getting closer to launching Wave 1, you should start to see the previews coming out of where we're going next. In the meantime, we've got more Rivenstone lore on deck, and we've been talking internally about making sure we can get you more battle reports and having more games streamed where we can just keep showing off our enthusiasm and hearing yours as you continue to play.
Yeah.
So we're going to switch off of Rivenstone for a second. I think there's some stuff about Dungeon Delvers we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so we're so excited. So we dropped off all kinds of huge cartons and boxes of all of the Dungeon Delvers miniatures that we produced for our first Kickstarter way back in January, the middle of the pandemic. And so it's finally all at the fulfillment center. They have been starting pack out this week. So I'm hoping to be able to get tracking numbers to everybody hopefully within the next couple of days. So I'm secretly hoping by end of day, probably early next week, I'll have tracking numbers for everybody that I'll be able to send out. But it's very exciting. And it's like our first real miniatures thing that we did, and like it's gonna
feel
awesome.
so good to go to the Dungeon Delvers Kickstarter page and it says fulfilled.
Yeah.
Done.
Finally, after way too long, way too many things, way too long. Everybody's been wonderful, and I hope you guys really like them when you get them, and that it was worth the wait.
The good news is that during Dungeon Delvers, being the first like physical miniature foray for Broken Anvil, a lot was learned, and all of those lessons have been applied towards the production of Rivenstone and some other things that we've got coming up that we're actually going to talk about a little bit later on in this stream. So obviously it's a learning process. You learn every day. You keep getting better, but going forward, should keep getting smoother and smoother.
Yeah. We went from 0 to 60 in using the COCast system in particular on Dungeon Delvers, and I think that's the thing that I'm the most impressed by is that specifically our production team that works on the actual mold making and the running of the machines, like they've worked their tails off for months, and the kind of issues that we ran into early on was just learning how to make a mold for that system, because originally we were supposed to get all of our molds from another vendor. That all fell through. For those of you following the updates, you remember that part of the saga. But when we got that point where it's like, okay, like it's do or die, like we got to figure this out, and they absolutely just nailed it. And so all of those lessons that we've learned and the molds that we redid and all of the constant like retooling in order to make sure that we're hitting that quality standard that we are really, really invested in hitting. I'm very, very proud of them and the work that they did, and I'm excited to see other people finally have it in hand and see it for themselves.
And this, I was going to say, they'll see this themselves when you get your Dungeon Delvers soon. You'll see like how crispy these models are, and again, the actual production models of Rivenstone we just shown, you can see how crisp the detail is. Speaking of other things we've got going on, not related to COCast, I just want to touch base real quick on this month's Patreon. As a reminder, maybe it's the first time you're watching this, we do have a monthly Patreon at patreon.com/brokenanvilminis, where every month we put out a ton of themed STL 3D printable miniatures. And this month, currently, is Curse of the Emerald City. Our paint team of Josh, Jordan, and Spencer have done an excellent job of painting these up so we can show you what they look like in their final form. Yeah. But wanted to show off a few of the miniatures from this month's Patreon. So to give you an idea of the theme, I'll start with just 2 models, which should help you out. This is Dorothy the Dagger Garland, and she's traveling down the Gilded Road with her friends to go find the Emerald Wizard. I think everyone has a distinct understanding now of what the theme of this month is with just that sentence. Emerald Wizard, by the way, miniature, absolutely awesome, and spin it around real fast. I love that there is a tiny little control panel back here. This is going to make an excellent RPG miniature. If you decide to use it in your campaigns, you can set your big bad or your insane wizard or whoever you want back there. Maybe just a halfling who's drunk. Whatever you want.
Got a hold of the controls. Making a ruckus.
But of course we have our Rotten Apple Treant, one of the many foes Dorothy and her friends have to face. Speaking of some of her friends, of course, there's Terry. And then of course her cowardly lion friend. A Tin Man, or maybe a Warforged, whatever you want to use it for, and a murderous Scarecrow. So this band is making their way and trying to dodge the constant machinations of an evil witch. And though we don't have any of them here, there's like an entire set of gargoyles you can get that are the witch's minions that are trying to help her out. So also just you want a lot of like gargoyle soldiers and gargoyle like lieutenants and bosses. They got those. But there's also an entire section of mechanical cogmen, including some that are on their own little steampunk motorcycles. We call these cog riders.
I love those.
And apparently, sometimes technology goes awry, as it does, and you end up with things like the Clockwork Monstrosity.
And I hate that one.
So, you know what? Hold on. Let's just get everything else out for a second so we can just talk about what's happening with this miniature.
It's the scariest thing I've ever seen.
So, let's just talk about old Freaky here. So, it's riding around. It's got like a spherical rolling bottom. Kind of,
it's omnidirectional.
It's omnidirectional. It has legs. Like there are legs.
Those
but
are just for kicking.
They're just for kicking because it's on a ball. Figure that part out. It got 2 horse heads.
Oh yeah, and brakes.
Oh, and brakes.
Yeah, gotta stop.
That's a great point.
I don't know if it's a great point, but it's a point. So it's got these legs.
A point.
It's got 2 heads. And then its arms, of course, are just axes, like you do.
Yep.
So if you're running any fantasy or, horror-based RPG and you want to traumatize your players, this is an excellent model for causing real psychological damage. And so we recommend it.
It's already happened here.
And did we start? We've started previews. Have we shown renders or concept yet of next month's release? Not yet, so people don't know what it is.
No, but you know what else is this month on the Patreon is Paint Fight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's our second.
I'm gonna go grab a couple.
Oh yeah.
Just to show people.
Ooh,
Of next
okay.
month or for? Okay,
Ooh.
so unexpected preview.
All right, well, Chris is off
Didn't call me,
scampering.
didn't call me.
He scampers off to go find those miniatures in particular. So the other thing that we've got going on right now is this month is our second ever Paint Fight painting competition. And currently, I think this year it's another, or this month it's another Frozen 3D printer, mini 4K. And resin and some Tornavir the Terrorblade models that are up for grabs as part of that competition. All the information is up and freely available to the public on the Patreon page, which again is patreon.com/brokenanvil. And you will find all that information as to how you want to participate. And I think the submissions close at the end of the month, so there's a little bit of time left. So for anybody who out there is ambitious, wants to jump in, grab a model, get painting. There's time yet to jump in and join the party. So I hope you all will consider it.
Yeah.
This is a really fun month of models. I
Yeah.
really love, and especially the way that the paint team did the teal glow on everything.
Right. Yeah.
Ugh.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And I know we gotta get Josh back on some paint streams at some point here in the near future as well.
Yeah, now that we're through the madness of Gen Con and
Yes.
all of the other stuff that everybody's been running around like chickens with their heads cut off for several weeks.
All right, Chris has returned with a few preview models. So, my normal spot. Oh, my spot's moved. My spot's back here now.
This whole time we were on the mini camera. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all
Yeah,
good.
no, I saw
was
Chris.
talking
Chris
about-
just left us on the mini camera. So, next
I
month,
suck.
preview or a little sneak preview of next month. Let me spread these out a little bit, and I'll show the big guy here in a moment. We are doing a 1920s gangster fantasy themed month. So, goblin gangsters with little fantasy Tommy guns. Dwarvish enforcers. Yeah, that's a pair of dwarves right there. We got our dwarf gangsters, our goblin gangsters. Things like the bootleggers, Keg Golem, Marcia Hinkle's Moonshine Monstrosity, I think is one of the official names. But yeah, we're doing a whole sort of just Peaky Blinders, old school 1920s meets Tolkien
Oh yeah.
style month.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff coming out. So here's just a little quick sneak peek of some of the stuff you'll see
Definitely,
coming out in October.
I definitely recommend listening to a Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds album while you paint these.
Yeah. So the last thing we want to end on today's stream before we go to chat and see if there's any questions or anything we've talked about is 2 upcoming projects we have. Now, I guess we can start now that Dungeon Delvers is fulfilling and when it wraps, we've already got our next non-game related project kind of in the hopper.
Right.
You want to talk about that one a little bit?
Yeah, so it's a miniatures only project. We'll be putting out a lot more information about it shortly, but it is titled Forged, and it basically there's an opportunity for you to get about 200 miniatures for about $100. So.
Physical miniatures.
Physical miniatures. We're doing fully assembled, like what style would you say that the campaign is in?
I would say it's offbeat fantasy in that you'll be able
Yeah.
to fulfill some of your traditional fantasy needs for your fantasy RPGs, but you also get a lot of really unique
Like
stuff.
unusual.
And if you've followed the Patreon for any length of time, you know that that's kind of what we do. You can get your orcs and your goblins and your skeletons and your dwarves, but also sometimes you get mousefolk and you get turtles and you get goblins in trench coats with Tommy guns. And it's going to be a mix of the whimsical and the epic, and then just like the stuff you need when you're doing an RPG, like your stock. But even your stock will be really highly detailed miniatures that are going to look fantastic and will really pop on your table, so that you're using some of the best quality RPG miniatures you can get. So, more on that coming soon. The other thing we want to talk about, which some people may know of from Gen Con already, is we've already got another game in the hopper. We have a lot of games in the hopper, actually. Every day I walk in, Chris just punches me and says, make
With
a
another
new one.
game.
I'm like, oh, all right, boss.
That happened once.
That's all it took. But we're not taking away from Rivenstone, in case anybody's wondering about miniature production and things we talked about earlier in this stream. The next game we're going to be having coming out is actually a family-friendly, casual party card game. It's called Prowl. We'll be showing it off more in the near future. We have a lot of really fantastic art. Alex M has been doing all our art for us, and I can't wait till you can start seeing some of the really stylized cartoon-style art he's doing. But this is a card game where the premise is you are playing a prowler, a burglar, an animal one, so you can be a bear, you can be is it a raven or a crow? It's a raven, right? Or is it a crow? The bird. I'm trying to remember.
I mean, technically.
I think it's a raven. It's got a black beak.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So a bear, a raven, a fox, things like that. And in this card game, the point of the game is you are all robbing the same house at the same time, and you are trying to escape with as much loot as you possibly can while avoiding being caught by the house's security systems, while trying to get everyone else caught by the security systems so they don't walk away. So it is a... It is a
really fun.
screw your friends up game. If you like to play the kind of party games that are built on spite, shenanigans, and just general mayhem and devilry, that's what
The
Prowl's
launch a
gonna be.
feud. That's the.
Yeah. In a friendly way.
In a friendly, adorable way.
Yeah, the game will last like 30 minutes to play at most if you're playing with all 4 players, and it's a great way to make and end friendships. And so we'll be showing off more about Prowl in the near future and its impending release date. So that's all the news we had today. I think before we get out of here, let's see if Chris had any questions from chat he wanted to toss our way, or if it's lunchtime.
Launch.
1 second. We'll see if we have any questions coming. We do have a good name.
Oh, yeah?
Burglebird.
Burglebird?
For what? The Wildmoth?
The crow.
Oh, the crow. Burglebird?
Is that his last name? He's like Bert Burglebird.
Burglebird. We haven't named them yet.
It's Bert
Carl
Burglebird.
was like, Murder Bird?
This is a G-rated game.
Burglebird.
Yeah, it's a G-rated game. We can't call this Murder Bird.
Well, yeah, decidedly not
Bert
a lot of murder.
Burglebird.
Yeah, Bert Burglebird.
Is Prowl going to be kickstarted or crowdfunded?
The current plan is it will not be Kickstarter or crowdfunded. This is a
No.
game we just intend to launch to all of you and through the normal channels. But no, this will our next crowdfunded project will be Forged. So that's why Prowl you should see a lot sooner than you might anticipate.
Yeah.
For Dungeon Delvers Fulfillment, are the big minis going out now as well?
Yes. So all of the miniatures for the Dungeon Delvers, anything that you ordered, all of it is going out at the same time. So anything you got through Backer Kit for Dungeon Delvers, you got in the campaign for Dungeon Delvers, is all there. So they should be hopefully slapping labels and getting that out the door very, very soon. As I keep emailing them and going like, "Where's it at?"
Slapping labels. That's our next game.
Yeah.
That was all the questions we had.
Nice.
How's the other ones?
Cool.
No other silly ones.
Seems like we were concise then. So for everybody watching then, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Keep an eye out for the impending Wild Faction terrain Design-a-thon, the paint fight.
Paint fight.
Oh yeah, paint fight on Patreon.
We have one more.
Oh, we have one more question before
Yeah.
we get out here, Chris? You threw my whole cadence off.
Any news on more physical minis from the Patreon directly from you guys?
Well, I mean, we could just say,
What? Don't say anything.
okay, I won't. I
So
won't.
you asked a question and then told us not to answer it?
Yeah, that's my
You
plan.
sadist. All right. Well,
Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. And we hope to see you soon with either another one of these or maybe a battle report, maybe Josh painting, but we're going to try and get more
Maybe all
streams. Maybe all three. We're going to try and get more streams coming to you in the near future. So stay tuned. We'll see you next time. Bye.
bye.
Happy gaming.
Oh my god, I have to stop.
You do have to hit stop.
I
You have one. You had one job.
You have to
This is it.
stop.
We're here forever, guys.
You had one job.